Welcome to Just Write Julie, the writing podcast where craft meets strategy and creativity meets clarity. I'm Julie Navickas, romance author, corporate communications pro, and university instructor. Most writing podcasts stay in one lane. This one brings together three: craft, career, and communication. Each episode features authors, editors, and marketers to help you strengthen the work, position it, and talk about it with confidence. If you're ready to write better and share your work with intention, you're in the right place. Just Write Julie. Let's get to work. Welcome to Just Write Julie, the podcast where writing meets strategy and creativity meets clarity. I'm your host, Julie Navickas, a multi-published agented romance author, communications professional, and university instructor. And today I am joined by a very exciting guest who has played a huge role in my own publishing journey, Melissa Keir. She is an award-winning and best-selling romance author, the CEO of Inkspell Publishing, and someone who has helped more than 80 authors bring their books into the world. As both an author and a publisher, Melissa has built Inkspell Publishing into a home for contemporary and paranormal romance writers who are looking for a collaborative, hands-on publishing experience. Melissa, welcome to the show.
Hi, I'm excited to be here.
Oh, I'm so pleased that you're willing to join me. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Well, it's what I love. I love talking about books.
I do too. And then I think that we're going to have a really good conversation today. So, Melissa, let's just go ahead and kick this off because I think I have a list of questions for you. And I know our discussion is going to be super rich and super exciting to talk about. So let's take it all the way back. Tell me a little bit about your background and your history. You've always been a storyteller, and I know that you have some sisters that you would make some stories up and kind of see where that's taken you. And that's really led you to over 30 novels of your own. So let's take it back. Where does it come from?
I think it comes from my family. Both my mom and my grandmother were avid readers, and my mom at one point penned her own romance novel back in the day when the gates were very closed. She submitted to all the publishing houses, and I still have some of her rejection letters.
Oh, gosh.
It doesn't happen overnight for everyone.
No.
So one day I decided I was going to pen my own after being a reviewer and working with other authors. I decided I was going to start my own, and I put pen to paper, and that's what happened.
That's wild. And you have over 30 novels.
Yes.
That's incredible. Are you still actively writing?
Well, I kind of switched genres a little bit in the last few years. I ended up writing children's books.
That's right.
I know, big change from romance.
Definitely.
But, COVID did something, and we were all shut down. So I started taking photographs of wildlife where I was living, and I started putting those pen to paper again, but I wanted it for a younger audience. So
I love that. And Melissa, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you are a fan of alligators, right?
I am. I love my alligators. And I found that people just don't understand them. They see the scary parts on the news, and they can be very terrifying, but it's important for people to understand how they play a part in our ecosystem and why they're something to be respected.
Absolutely. And I love that you turned that, unique passion into a story for kids. It's very sweet. Well, all right, Melissa. So we know that you are a storyteller at heart and you have experience in the romance space as well as the children's space. I would like to know a little bit about where did Inkspell Publishing come from? Can you tell me what's its history? What's its roots?
So interestingly, I kind of lucked into Inkspell. When I was submitting to other publishing houses, another author friend of mine, Shilpa, decided that she was tired of the rat race of publishing houses that would close.
Yeah.
You'd get accepted and then they'd close. So she started Inkspell Publishing, and I kind of came on board as an editor. And then she would ask me to do submissions and read through those. And soon I was doing the formatting. I was doing all of the behind the scenes things, as well as all of the payouts. And eventually Shilpa decided she wanted to take a step back. She had a young child.
Yeah.
And she said, I want to sell this. And I said, oh, you can't sell it. You can't sell it. I want this to continue. Since I was doing everything anyway, she asked if I wanted it. And so I purchased Inkspell, and I've been CEO and all around a go-getter with the company since then.
Oh my gosh, I absolutely adore that story. And I know you and I have talked about it beforehand too. And just to see where you've been able to take it and move forward, I think it's one of those spaces in the publishing industry right now where not everybody recognizes what a small press imprint can really do. Because I think for the most part, most people think, all right, you're going to go for a big five publishing contract or you're going to self publish. But there's really this nice sweet spot in the middle. And it's a part of the publishing landscape that I wish more people knew about. Why do you think it's a good fit for some authors?
Well, one of the nice benefits about the small presses, and I'm going to put a caveat out there because
Yes,
there are some small presses that are not the same as others. So you
exactly.
have to do your due diligence. But it allows you a lot of interactions, a lot of choice without having to put some of the financial things up front. And that's important for people. They want to get their book out there, but
Yeah,
maybe they cannot either get in the door with a big five publisher, which requires an agent and sometimes just plain luck, but they don't want to spend the thousands of dollars that it's going to take to self publish. So this is an opportunity because it's somebody who's been there, done that, and can help you with some of the other things, but still gives you a lot of say in what you do.
absolutely. And I can personally vouch for that. Having worked with you six separate times on six separate stories and more to come. um, it's a wonderful space that you can still have some authority over your work and make some decisions, but to work so like just closely and collaboratively with someone who knows the industry, knows what's going to be best, and can make some of those really strong recommendations for a final product. I mean, it's been an incredible, wonderful experience. Thank
Oh, thank you. It's
you.
it's joyful for me too because I like bringing those uh, dreams to life for other people.
I've told you that from day one. I'm like, this is, at least for me personally, and I would imagine other authors feel the same. You write a story and you think, all right, what am I going to do with this now? Right. And not all of those options are viable for everyone. So to be able to have an option like a small press publisher, like it truly brought my dream to life.
And I think that that's important that people have another opportunity because not all roads, not all publishing stories are the same for everyone.
It's very
And
true.
I, as an author, found that a lot of the small publishing presses, they just didn't have the viability or the traction. And
Yeah,
so I think with Inkspell, I've been able to provide that for authors.
you certainly have. You certainly have. Yeah. 80 authors is incredible. And I'm sure it's a growing list too.
It is.
Yeah. Well, Melissa, I wonder, not everyone knows about small press publishing. Are there any myths or any inconsistencies or things that you would like to debunk about this process?
Well, I think everybody has heard about J.K. Rowling's opportunity. She was writing, on a train, and then suddenly she's this big published author. And most people think that that's going to happen, or they see that on movies or TV series, and that's not reality. A small press publisher is a nice way of doing that because it gets you in the door. But as I said before, there are caveats. There are a lot of not nice people out there who
True.
can take advantage of authors, take advantage of people who are wishing for their dreams. And so, sometimes people get into some of these, what they think are small press operators, and really they're just fraud. And so what happens is they end up either paying a lot of money to have their book published, or, they get an assurance and then it falls through. And
Yeah,
so I think, you have to really look around and find what works for you.
absolutely. Yeah, you speak the truth. I think I've witnessed it. You've witnessed it. People who get so excited and think that they found a dream publishing opportunity, and sadly, it's incredibly expensive, and there's no guarantee that your book is going to sell or even have a viable way of selling it. It's very disheartening.
Yeah. And even with Inkspell, I mean, there's no guarantee that your book is going to sell,
Right.
but it gives you a starting point, and it gives you a quality product, and it gives you the opportunity, all the best things that will make your book more presentable to other people.
Absolutely. And it's top quality. I love my covers. I love what my books look like. Well, Melissa, so I'm thinking way back to, gosh, it was probably 2020, 2021. I discovered the Inkspell website and I submitted my manuscript. Now I'm thinking about you when you opened this email and read through the submission. I'm curious, what do you look for in a submission? Do you look specifically at the manuscript, or are you also interested in the person behind the manuscript?
I'm actually interested in both. The
Both.
manuscript goes a long way because,
Mhm.
of course, I want a unique story. I want something that appeals to me as a reader,
Mhm.
but I also want to see that this person is driven, motivated. Sometimes they have experience and sometimes they don't,
Yeah.
but it tends to be, first of all, the number one thing that bothers me is if people do not understand what we're publishing. I get every day or every week 2 or 3 people who are submitting something that is not romance because that's all we publish is romance.
Right.
Or they send something that is either above or below what we're looking for as far as word count. So all of those things that we're looking for, I take into consideration when I'm reading something. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't exceptions because there are.
Sure.
A really strong manuscript, but a really, I don't want to say like a weak author, but somebody without experience can certainly drive the publishing. I can say, yes, I'm going to be willing to take more of a chance. But also, I've seen some really strong publishing experienced
Hmm.
authors, and their book just isn't a good fit for whatever reason. It doesn't feel like I can connect with the characters, or it doesn't materialize that the story either ends on a happily ever after, or it doesn't feel like it's got enough motivation.
Absolutely. Well, I really appreciate you saying that because I think that's something that maybe some authors might overlook, that it's not just solely based on the manuscript. It's kind of the holistic package of what's being submitted.
Yeah, it is.
Different.
And you want to come off as sounding knowledgeable,
Yeah.
and maybe even a little bit braggadocious about your work
Yeah.
because you are your number one storyteller. You are the one who knows your work the best. So you've got to push that. And
Absolutely.
understanding the market as well is as important. What other books are out there that might interest your readers? If I pick up your manuscript, who else am I going to compare it to?
Yeah. And that's a huge part of it too, is, everybody wants their book or their story to be super unique, which, all right, great. I hope they are unique, right? But it's knowing where that book actually fits on a bookshelf. That's almost just important when you're trying to think about, how do I sell this? How do I market it?
Right. And those are important key pieces.
Hmm.
It's one of the things I always ask authors is, who does your book remind other readers of, so that
Yeah.
they can, maybe not tag along, but what you want to do is find that niche. You want to find other readers who are interested in that.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. And you have to know how you're going to fit beside some of those other authors or other tones or other voices or ways of storytelling. And that really helps you align kind of where you fit.
Yeah, I agree
Yeah.
100%.
Well, Melissa, what do you wish authors would know about publishing before they start to pursue it?
That it's hard work.
Yeah.
It, I mean, no matter how great your work is, it's, even if it's the best manuscript out there, it's going to take work. And I mean, you could ask Nora Roberts, you could ask J.K. Rowling, you could ask all of the other authors, they're going to tell you the same thing. It doesn't end once your book is finished. That's
That's
only
real.
the beginning. Now
That's
you have to find ways to get your book out there, whether it's face to face. And I have some amazing authors who go out to every local fair, meeting, anything to talk about their books, and they sell them awesomely that way.
they
And
do.
then I have other ones who do it online or through reading groups, and that's great too. You just need to find people who would be interested in your books and knowing, where those people are.
And it's hard to find people sometimes, but yeah, it's a little mix of trying to figure out what's the best place that I can be, while still being conscious of your time and your dollars and things along those lines, which is something that surprised me, Melissa, through this, because I was quite new, obviously, and didn't really have a full understanding of once you write a book, it really doesn't end there. You essentially become, a small business owner. You're still selling a product, right? You're still looking to make
Right.
money and find the right readers. So I'm wondering if you have any advice or any words to say about, what would you tell authors who are not quite sure of this, and how would you recommend that they basically build a small business that supports their work?
Well, there are numerous groups and other authors who are out there promoting and have done this for a long time and have a lot of experience, because what happens with one book isn't always going to work with the next book, and what one
True.
happens with one author isn't always going to work with the next author. So there's a little bit of a trial and error with every time you do it. But you have to be confident that you can find it and not give up.
That's very true. And that's very important. I know even just from personal experience, I've had a lot of success with some books and then some not so much, right? And it's different for every single experience. And like you said, for every author as well.
Yeah, it really does play a big part of it. Like I said, there are some people who, if you have a great blurb and a great cover, but your book doesn't sell, maybe you need to do more face to face. And maybe that's the type of person you are, that when you are able to talk about your book face to face with other people, that will help.
Absolutely. That's kind of the sweet spot. And it's all trial and error and we all figure it
It
out
is.
as we do. Well, Melissa, one of the wonderful things that I always tell fellow authors and friends about is I've had a really wonderful collaborative experience working with Inkspell Publishing. So, can you speak to, what does a healthy relationship look like between an author and their publisher?
A healthy relationship is one where the author can ask questions and feel like they're getting answers,
Yeah,
not just words, but that the questions are being answered. And if there are concerns, that their concerns are being heard as well. So much like a friendship where two people are together, collaborating, working together, a publishing house has to work with an author as well. And they both have to take into consideration a lot of external things like finances. They
hmm
have to take into consideration time, and they have to take into consideration outside experiences. Like, for example, Inkspell doesn't publish on a short term. We publish, months or a year out, because
yeah.
we want to give quality to our work.
hmm
So somebody who's thinking maybe tomorrow I can get my book published is going to be disappointed. And so understanding that. But on the same breath, sometimes I've had authors who've wanted to publish a book, but life got in the way.
Yeah.
And so we need to sit on both sides with understanding of where each of us is at and how to make it work best.
Absolutely. And it's just from the author perspective, it's so appreciated to have someone who knows the ins and outs of that publishing world, but can also balance that friendship too, right? To know what's best for the author as well as for the company. And Melissa, you always make me laugh because if I have a question, and I have many questions, and I can email you, and you are the fastest responder to an email I have ever witnessed anywhere ever. You are so quick and always have an answer ready for me.
Well, I love being helpful, which is one of my big things. But yeah, I used to be uh, given some not so nice words about how fast I reply, because I will jump quickly to answer. And then somebody will be like, but I was going to answer, this collaboration. It's like,
Absolutely.
I have to learn sometimes not to jump the gun, but it's okay.
Well, from my perspective, I love it because I know if I have a question, I'm going to have an answer literally within 30 seconds. It's wonderful.
And on the other side, personally, nothing makes me crazier than if I have a question and I have to wait days or weeks
Yeah,
to find out an answer
exactly.
for something.
Exactly. Well, it's very appreciated. And I can't imagine I'm the only one that has that experience.
No, no.
No,
And
no.
it's funny. There are times I do sleep, so there are times when I'm not answering questions. But because most of my authors are across the globe, I've got some in Australia,
That's
some
true.
in England. It varies as far as the time zones, but we work it all out.
Absolutely. Oh, it's so cool. And it's really amazing to see a company like Inkspell be able to have that global presence. It's just incredible.
Yeah, I'm always looking for, like I said, the quality story. But if that happens to be somebody from Australia, or if it happens to be somebody from India, if it happens to be a book, that's from England, that's okay with me.
Absolutely. Well, it's cool that you have that knowledge and that experience level to feel confident in absorbing books from all over the world. It's wonderful.
Well,
Well,
I want everybody to read, so
that's true. It doesn't matter where they come from.
okay.
Well, Melissa, one of the parts that I know I've personally struggled with, I would imagine maybe you have too at some point in your career, other authors who are at Inkspell, but there are so many authors and there are so many books, especially in the romance space, right? The market is saturated. It's really difficult not to compare your own journey to someone else's. Why is their book selling? Theirs is similar to mine. Is their cover better? Like you question these things left and right and wonder what you're doing wrong if you're not experiencing the same level of success that you're seeing somebody else experience. So, do you have any tips for advice or maybe some ways that writers can kind of look at their own journey for what it is, their own?
Well, if I had the answer to that, I would be a millionaire because we do this personally. We look
Yeah,
at somebody else. We look at this as a parent to our children, looking at other people's children. We look at other people's houses and we compare ourselves. That is the human nature. We
true.
want things to be perfect and we want this idealized. I think the only thing that I can say is that we all do it
Yeah,
and we all do not see reality. So, what you're seeing by another author and seeing maybe their more sales or something, maybe they're spending, and you don't know, thousands of dollars in ads.
true.
Maybe they are spending, all of their extra time so that they don't have the ability to go to their child's book game, book event or, baseball game or something like that, that will allow us to feel accomplished in more than just one thing.
Yeah,
Because frankly, Julie, you're not just Julie the author, you're
right.
Julie of a million other things. And we need to be satisfied in those things. But of course, certainly if you feel that maybe it's the back matter, maybe it's the cover. That is something that we can certainly do.
Right.
I have another author that has changed her covers
Ah,
or has changed her name because she wanted to go with a different name. And I know that you are re-releasing your books because you have learned so much over the years and now want to polish them and make them even better. And so each of those things that we can do are, again, the trial and error. But I think that it's important that we do those to find out just exactly where we're at and feel
absolutely.
accomplished.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, that's very, very valid advice because you're like you point out, it's human nature, right? We all do it. We all look to compare. And social media is such a space where it's wonderful to maintain connections and meet people. But at the same time, it's in front of your face often how successful others are, how many books were sold at this event, right? It's just a natural thing for us. And it's really difficult to navigate. So I appreciate you validating it.
Yeah, it is. It is very difficult. And I have felt that too. I've gone to events and been disappointed because of my sales. You spend money going to these events. But I have to keep in mind that that's one event, that's one time. Who knows what promotions were put out?
True.
So you have to kind of take it in a broader picture rather than just looking at yourself and see what else is going on.
Absolutely. No, very valid advice. I think we've all been there at some different events where you stand there for a few hours and go, huh, well, I'm not going to make my money back on this one, right? And it becomes a challenging day, but it's what we do moving forward that matters.
Yes.
Well, Melissa, speaking of moving forward, the publishing industry has, I think, changed like dramatically, right? In the last 5, 10 years, somewhere in that space. I know you don't have a magic 8 ball, but you have a vast experience in independent publishing. What do you see as the future? Is anything changing or what do you predict?
Well, right now we are on this cusp of the AI epidemic.
Yeah.
And so while there are parts of AI that are good, it's taking away authors' voices because people are publishing with AI that are not really authors. They're just asking AI to write books. The
Ye-
same thing, it's taking away cover artists' work because you're doing AI work as opposed to having a real person on the cover or an illustration that somebody has drawn.
Yeah.
And I think that that is going to continue to change dynamically. We've already seen a fluctuation where people were only buying print, only buying ebook. Now we're getting back to print.
Yeah.
And so you're going to see waves come and go, but the quality of stories is always going to matter. So we know that AI books are not quality. We know that those stories are not going to sell. People are going to get tired. They're going to get tricked. They're going to feel frustrated. They've spent their money on it. And so companies are going to shut that down.
Yeah.
It may take a little bit because this is new and they've got to find that. But I think you're going to see that happening. And you're going to continue to see, I guess, a circle, between audio books, ebooks, and print books. They're
Sure.
going to continue to fluctuate where one will be more popular at a time.
Exactly.
And everything else is cyclical too, because, sports romances are very hot and vampire romances were not.
Yes.
And next month it could be vampire romances are hot and sports books are not. So I
Exactly.
think it's just going to be quality work that's going to continue to shine.
I like that perspective. You're right. It's maybe not necessarily the content or the medium of it, but it is the quality of the work that's going to continue to move the publishing industry forward. And yeah, the whole AI discussion is incredibly disheartening. Like you point out, it has tremendous value in certain spaces, but it's very difficult as an author, as a publisher, right, to see some of this finding success in the market and to know that, it was just generated based on others' work. It's tough.
It feels like a flash in the pan.
Yeah.
It will go by.
Yeah.
But on the same breath, my own works were stolen
Yeah.
to use for AI. And
Exactly.
so it's one of those things that you feel frustrated because they're using your stuff without your permission.
Yeah.
But
Very difficult. Well, it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out, won't it?
it will. It will.
Well, Melissa, I think you and I could probably spend an entire hour just digging into AI and what impacts it has on publishing. But we don't have time for that today. So, my next question for you is, if I had a listener who just tuned in for 2 minutes, what would be the largest takeaway from our discussion today that you would want to impart on them?
I think I would want them to know that if they have a dream to be an author, that there are many different roads to pursuing that dream, and that success is going to look different depending upon each book and each person, and that there are so many people out there who are wishing for them to be successful, not just their own dream, but that others are out there helping as well.
Ah, that's beautifully said. I absolutely adore that. And that's perfect advice. There's more than one road to publishing. And if you have a dream, go for it. Try it, right? Explore your options and see where it takes you because there are kind people like you out there waiting to make it happen.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Melissa, where can people find more about you and Inkspell Publishing?
Well, they can find more about me personally on my website, melissakeir.com, melissakeir.com. And they can find more on Inkspell at inkspellpublishing.com, Inkspell, publishing, publishing.com.
Beautiful. Well, I highly encourage listeners, if you're in the romance space or in the paranormal space, check out Inkspell Publishing. There are, what do you do? At least one or two books a month? One book?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're going to that website. If you're a reader,
Yeah,
we have something for everyone.
truly.
There are stories that will charm and delight you, and some that will just make you want to grab another book and keep reading.
And that's the whole idea, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, Melissa, thank you so much for joining me today on the Just Right Julie show, where writing meets strategy and creativity meets clarity. I hope that our conversation today reminds every writer listening that there isn't one correct path for publication. Every author has different goals, different definitions of success, and different roads that can lead them there. You can follow along and subscribe to the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. And if this episode encouraged you in any way or challenged your thinking, please leave a review or share it with another writer who might enjoy it as well. For more resources or publishing insights and behind the scenes looks, you can visit authorjulienavickas.com and connect with me on social media. Until next time, just write and don't be afraid to be strategic about it.